Okay, you want to start the show off or what?
You started off, Stevie.
You want me to start it off?
Yeah, start it off, buddy.
Okay. Hey, ready? Are we ready to rock?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Steve Van Diest here. We're here on the ThoughtXchange. I got my co-host.
Hey, I'm Cameron Barkey. How's it going?
And we got the Ellerslie MLA. Rod, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Rod Loyola, MLA for Edmonton Ellerslie. This is my second term, so I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I've already done 4 years under my belt, so ready to keep rocking and rolling.
So
Yeah.
I get how did you kind of get into politics? I guess is the big thing.
Well, Stevie, you know my. It's okay if I call you Steve. Do they
Yeah.
call him Steve or do they call him Stevie?
They call me Stevie.
They call
Yeah,
him
I
Stevie,
actually go
yeah.
by
he's
Stevie.
Because I grew up with this guy. This is what a lot of people may not realize, right?
Yeah.
This guy, like I knew this guy when he was just little boy. Right? Our families used to hang out with each other, go camping, that kind of stuff back in the day. We used to hang out. We used to play hockey in your backyard, skate around on the
ice rink.
on the ice rink that your dad made. Remember
Dad used
that?
to make the whole backyard into like one big
Gustavo.
program. Yeah, Gustavo used to do that.
Yo, that's sick, man.
Yeah, we used to have like lots of stuff going on then.
Yeah, so we used to know each other from back in the day. So Stevie knows that my family history, where I came from Chile back in 1973. There was a military coup there.
Yeah.
And my family came here to Canada in 76. And as a result, when you come from a fractured democracy, you can't help but just talk politics all the time. Like around the dinner table, that's what you talk, right? Like you end up talking about these things all the time. And then, so eventually I just became like this really kind of grassroots kind of guy that always involved in human rights work and things like that. And then, so it's just natural progression, ended up getting into politics.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is because I'm kind of interested in a little bit of politics myself, but I don't know if I would go into party politics just because I'm too vocal. I'm too vocal in what I do. I'm less like it would be hard to follow a party line, but definitely thinking more into city politics and municipal politics where you can actually just represent yourself, like basically be my own representative and then just worry about my constituents and kind of thing like that. Don't have to worry about other people telling me, I don't know, there's something about like having to follow that whole...
What, being in a party and having a different view of what your party is?
Yeah.
And then them being like, yo, you can't really be like that because this is not what we're about?
Yeah, that's what I get worried about. Because that's
it's always like it's a catch-22 most definitely. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you believe in what the central vision of what that party's trying to do, right? So that you're not going to agree with everything that the party stands for, most definitely, because you're an individual, right? Individuals have their own ideas about different things, but then it becomes, okay, well, which party do you align with the most, right? And then are you willing to throw your hat in the ring and be part of that party, like? And kind of just
take, like give or take, like I'm gonna agree to disagree on a couple things.
Yeah,
is that what you have to do?
you're gonna agree on some things, and hopefully the majority you agree on, right? And then and that's my case, for me, the New Democratic Party represents a lot of the values that I hold dear, and I believe in. I believe in people. I believe in working people. It's like people that work hard every day, and whether you own a business or you're a laborer or whatever the case may be, like I believe in representing those people, right? And so that's why I'm with the New Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's. I want to talk a little bit about for some people that don't know what actually happened in Chile, because like we have a lot of Chileans. There's a huge, I don't know if you know about this.
No, I'm just learning. I just want to learn.
Chileans that came down in the 1980s and stuff like that during that whole military coup, because people.
Yeah, what happened? You said military coup in Chile.
Yeah.
Like, what went down with that?
So back in 1970, we had a democratically elected president. His name was Salvador Allende. He was a socialist president, democratically elected by the people, majority. As a result, he was putting in all these very progressive laws, and some of them even like land reform.
What's a progressive law?
So anything that this is the thing, is that even you can break it down like here in Alberta, is that there's certain classes of people that you're going to be representing, right? And my argument has always been that conservative parties tend to represent the richest people in society, or the most privileged and the most well-off people. So for them, keeping taxes low is absolutely essential because that's what's important to them because they're making so much money. But your average Joe, right, is just making their wage, their salary, whatever the case may be. And even under the previous government, if you were making less than $109,000 a year, you were being taxed at 10%, right? So it's only those people that are making above 109,000 a year. And you go and you talk to any average Albertan out there, and they're like, well, yeah, I make under 109,000 a year. So they're not paying any more taxes than they were under a previous conservative government than they were under the new Democratic Party government, right? So for me, it's about making sure that those people who are on the lower end of the economic scale get equal representation, not more representation, just equal representation to what a conservative party that tends to represent only the most wealthy or focuses on helping the most wealthy. And then what ends up happening is that under their policies, they're hoping that if the richest people are making a lot of money, then the rest will some of it will trickle down to the other people, right?
I always thought that was funny because because rich people don't spend money. That's not how they become rich. They become rich because they save money.
I don't agree with that.
I've seen it. And me personally, the way I've seen it, when you become rich, when you have lots of money, you save money and then you leverage lending. So what happens is you don't actually ever spend money, you leverage lending. So like I have $100,000 in the bank. That means I can borrow $1 million because I have $100,000 leverage. I borrow $1 million and I use that $1 million to pay for stuff. So they never use their own money. And then they just take more from that.
Isn't that smart though?
It's definitely a smart thing to do,
Yeah.
most definitely. But the question becomes, does that put more money into the economy, yes or no, right? So this is the thing, is that what ends up happening is
It
that
puts more debt into the economy.
It does.
That's what it does, because you got $1 million worth of debt that was borrowed, and then what happens is now you have the people that have to work to pay off that debt. That's the way I look at it. And then that one person who has $100,000 just keeps adding.
the brother wants to get
More.
in here.
Well, no. I'm just saying. Okay, we're going back to Chile though. We're getting off
Yeah,
topic.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yo, I was just like, we just- like that went to the weird. Like
Yeah, yeah.
we could touch on that again, but we're talking about Chile.
But you were asking what a progressive law is,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So
that's-
then-
yeah, we're taking it back to that,
So
yeah.
let's take it back to that, right? So then the thing is, okay, well, how do you put money in the hands of people, average Joes?
So what was the guy's name in Chile?
Salvador Allende.
That was the president.
So he was a socialist who was democratically elected in Chile.
In Chile back in 1970.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what
This
ended up
was
happening?
also during the time when
There was a coup, they said.
No, this is also during the time when the Americans were fighting communism, and they were calling everybody commies. They were calling everybody communists. They were calling I was just like, everything you're doing is communist. Russia's communist. You're communist. Everyone was if you were a social ideology, you were a communist because you were against.
Because you're trying to
against-
help the average Joe,
Yeah.
the average man, right? Or average woman, right? So for example, like, and I'll give you another example of a progressive law, universal daycare, right? This is a perfect example because what ends up happening in very conservative societies is that what ends up happening, women end up staying at home. Why? Because they don't get paid enough in the jobs that they get. And if they go to work, the majority of what they get paid ends up going to put their kid in daycare. And this is what was happening here in Alberta. So women were staying at home because they were like, if they have one kid, it was like, for example, in my riding in Ellerslie, to pay for one child in daycare was like $1,200 a month. Now imagine
Yeah, it's
if you
cheaper to
got-
stay at home than to go to work and then pay all that money. Yeah,
Exactly. Okay. So now, if you make it more affordable for that family to put that child in daycare, then the woman ends up going to work. She ends up earning pay, and then she pays general income tax on what she's making, right? So get this: if you subsidize daycare for that family, and so that they pay a lower amount, then they put the child in daycare. She goes to work. She pays a general income tax. So the program pays for itself. It's like investing in people. And this is what a progressive law does. We invest in people, help save them money in their pocket, because what are they going to do? Not like the rich people that are going to leverage the money or invest
They're
it.
gonna spend it.
They're going to go and spend it. They're going to go buy that next TV that they've been dreaming about.
It's really
or they're
spend
going to go
money.
buy that car because now they're like, okay, I got a job. I need to get around. I'm going to go buy that new car.
So this is a
Right.
progressive law that happened in Chile?
So in Chile,
Not in Chile. I was giving an example of
of a progressive
here,
law.
here in
Oh,
Alberta,
what a
but that's an
progressive law.
example of one. So, for example, in Chile, a progressive law would have been the fact that, like Salvador Allende, he wanted to make sure that every child had at least a quarter of milk every day. There was like an actual milk program where they would go drop off milk at everyone's house, right? So like my older brother got to benefit from that program because at that time my parents were pretty poor. They were pretty poor working class people, but that investment of milk meant that they got to save money and they got to spend it on something else, right? And like that, the more that you put savings in the pockets of average Joe, they're going to go out and spend the money that they do have on other things that are going to support the economy.
so this is what. So then, where did this coup come from in Chile?
the Americans.
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
don't know exactly what
Yeah.
ended up happening.
So so the Americans, so Pinochet was the military government, and the Americans backed Pinochet
The
to
US,
take over the country. So there was a U.S. backed military coup to overthrow the democratic government that was in power, and then Pinochet was in power, and then he started to attack anybody who was.
How long are they in power in Chile for? How
17
long are
years.
the term? A
17
17-year term?
There was
No, that's after the coup.
That was the military
Oh.
coup lasted for 17 years.
Yeah, yeah.
See, the thing is that people thought, okay, this military coup is going to last 2, 3, maybe 4 years, and then it'll go back to democracy. But Pinochet, the military dictator, was like, no, screw this. I'm going to bring in my own military class of people, and they ended up propping the whole society up to support him and his buddies during this entire time. So for 17 years, Chile was under a military dictatorship.
Backed by the Americans because they were.
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you do there, buddy?
Yeah.
I'll go fix
Yeah.
that. You guys keep talking about that.
So that was the reality that happened. So
So this was in the 70s.
back in the 70s, and the thing is that this didn't just happen in Chile. This happened in Brazil. It happened in Argentina. Not all at the same time, of course. We're talking about different times in history. But Brazil, Argentina. It happened in Uruguay.
Those are beautiful places.
They're all very, very, very beautiful places.
I was just in, well, actually, this was almost a year ago now, but I did a couple of weeks in Costa Rica, and it was like so dope.
Yeah, it was Central South
Cent-
America,
oh,
beautiful,
so
beautiful,
sick.
beautiful place.
Beautiful people, too.
Yeah, no, indeed.
That was, yeah, I didn't make it down to Chile. I was trying to, but I just didn't have enough time. I like when I travel, I like going to places and visiting there for like a decent amount of time. Like I don't like just showing up to a spot and be like, yeah, I saw the Eiffel Tower. Like I want to be there for a while and get to know like people and stuff like that. I just don't want to take a picture and snap and run away.
Right.
But if I was going to go to Chile, I'd want to take my time with it. I think there's a lot of probably really cool things to see down there.
Lots. Every country in the world has its beautiful things to see. You know, it's like whether it's nature or this or, you know, current attractions that they have, art exhibits, museums, you name it. Like Mexico City, for example, it's such a rich resource of culture. And whether you're talking about like pre-Hispanic times all the way till now, like it's got such a rich culture.
When's the last time you've been down?
To Chile? Oh,
Yeah, or even Mexico City. I've never been to Mexico City. Been to Mexico, but never like in it.
yeah.
No,
Like, I've never been in it. I don't
No,
think
you
I'd
don't want to
survive.
go in there because
no.
it's dangerous. Like I remember one guy who was from Mexico City. He told me like he saw a guy get murdered in front of him, and it, like when he was talking to me about it, like I think it really messed him up because like he had to get out of Mexico like right away. He's like, I can't be here, and he was still shook when he was talking to me about it here, and I'm just like, holy smoke, he saw someone gunned down right in front of him, right? So like that's scary. Like that's
I honestly think it depends on. Well, I don't want to say anything bad about your friend, but if
I don't really know him. Like I've met him like 2 or 3 times and he told me the
it
story.
depends on who you're hanging around. That's a big factor. If you're hanging around,
Questionable people.
Well, that was the same thing growing up. When you grow up in Mill Woods too. Like I grew up in Mill Woods, and I was just like, Mill Woods is.
No,
like,
you can't compare Mill Woods to Mexico City,
no,
man.
No,
Like-
I know, but what I'm saying is like I grew up in Mill Woods and I never saw Mill Woods as being dangerous.
Yeah.
But there was constant
There was
killings
things going
People were
around,
getting
yeah.
killed on a regular basis in Mill Woods, especially when I was growing up.
Not Mexico City level.
No,
though.
no,
No, but
I
it was
know.
mostly because of the fact that the people that were getting killed and all were all involved in the drug stuff.
they
We're
were all
selling
being-
each other.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, so like I mean, honestly, like back in the '90s, Millwoods was quite questionable.
Oh yeah, no,
it
100%.
was
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
And
it's
what
like
would
back-
happen-
but it's
People
not.
would
It's not
end up
like
dead in cars and stuff. I remember when
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
it's
Well-
not. It's not killing people for your clothes though. Like there's places
No,
in the world
people-
where like
people
I'm
were-
killing you for your
People were
shoes.
killing people for territory though in Mill Woods. Like that's what I'm saying. Like what happens is that, and you got to think about it. Like
Not
this-
Mexico City level
this is-
killings though. I can't like.
No, it's not that level, but it was still on a lower level. That was kind of what's going on. So like the way I was looking at it is like
You didn't see the danger.
These
You're a
kids
kid.
these kids were getting like all of this drugs that they had to sell, and they would sell it because they had to take that money and give it back to the guy who supplied them with the drugs. And then what happened was the guys who were supplying drugs didn't give a fuck who they were giving it to, so they would give it to you, give it to this, and everyone would have to pay them. But you guys are in the same. All of a sudden, the guy that you were selling to all the time is now buying from you. And you're just like, no one's buying from me anymore. And now they're panicking, they're nervous, they're stressed out because they have to give that money back, right? So what ends up happening is they get in a fight with you because you're selling to the guy that he's normally selling to, and they end up killing each other over fear and stress. Like it was happening like crazy in the 90s.
Yeah, it was.
It was bad, man. But
Yeah.
like I said, but if you're not involved in it, you don't see it. You don't
Yeah, but if you were not I was not connected to it.
yeah.
So
No,
Millwoods was a nice, safe place for me.
Yeah. Well, no, it is. That's the point I'm trying to
But-
make. It is. But like in a Mexico City, or for example, like you could be totally away from the drug thing and shit will still find you.
Yeah,
Well, that's because
Mill
you're,
Woods
that's
is not
because
going to
you're,
really
that's because
find
you're
you.
white.
But-
they're
but-
basically they're gonna steal from you. Like you're gonna.
They'll
stick
do the
up-
same thing to you.
Yeah,
You'll go down there and be like, yo, you're white. I'm gonna fuck you up too.
I have an advantage because yes, they're gonna steal from me, and two, they don't know that I speak the language. So a lot of times I'll just play dumb, but they'll talk right in front of me, so I know what's going on. A lot of times.
But the other thing though is like I don't want to give Mexico City a bad rap because look, man, if you're there during the day and you're just watching out for yourself,
You're
and
probably
just, like,
9 times out of 10
and
fine.
you're going to the museum and you're going to a restaurant, yeah, 9 times out of 10 you're fine.
Yeah.
But if you're going out late at night and you're going to some pretty sketchy places, well, guess what? You're gonna be around, some sketchy situations.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. I just like because a lot of Latin America gets a bad rap, right? It's like, oh, it's dangerous, and there's dangerous things that happen. But if you go and you're sticking to mainly during the day and
I remember last time I was in
help me
in
out
Chile.
here, bro. Don't tell a bad story.
No, but
I'm
they-
trying to get more people to go to Latin America.
No,
Well,
I
no.
love it. It's beautiful.
No, but
Yeah, we're just saying like it's so dangerous.
I had no idea. Like, so we're staying. So me and my brother were staying in San Bernardo. Okay, so San Bernardo is like basically staying in like Spruce Grove, for instance, in the city. So
San Bernardo, what?
Chile,
Yeah.
outside of
Just outside of Santiago.
Okay.
So it's like being in Spruce Grove, right?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like this is where my parents grew up. Like this is their neighborhood, right? And we're coming back from late night of Santiago. We come in, and the guy refused to drive into the neighborhood. He literally dropped us off at the gas station and said, "This is as far as I go." It's just like we're literally like, no, I don't go in there. It's like, what? So either he was scared that we were taking him in and setting him up, but in the end he kicked us out of the vehicle. We had to pay him, kicked us out, and we had to walk back into the neighborhood. And we're thinking to ourselves, how dangerous is this neighborhood that the taxi driver won't drive in here?
Yeah, that's so
And
ridiculous.
we were in a gated,
we don't have that.
And
where
we were in a
from.
gated community, and I'm just like, this is weird. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, this can't be good. This can't be good. Maybe we shouldn't be coming back this late next time. Yeah, because it was like,
shit.
yeah. So like, that's when you know that something's up. When like you're thinking like, no big deal, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got these guys that's just like, some people are just ruthless though.
I was driving around when I was in Costa Rica. It was about 2 in the morning. and we
Costa
were
Rica's super safe though, man.
Oh yeah.
For the most part. Like,
We ended
like
up.
it's probably one of the safer places to go.
Where did we end up? What's north of Costa Rica? Just right on the border there.
North of Costa Rica. Now I'm not.
Yeah, what is
my
it?
geography is like not bad.
Yeah. I get that going right now. There
I'll
was
take
like
that.
20. I was around there at the same time. It was about 20 Americans were killed.
Ooh.
Were they just getting?
Is it?
They got slaughtered. They just.
They just stealing them, or what were they
Yeah,
doing?
what happened? Anyways,
Nicaragua.
Nicaragua. Yeah, we ended up there at like 2 in the morning, and then me and my buddy were like,
What were you in the jungle?
yeah, I was
Like-
in the jungle. Yeah, I was in the jungle.
Dude, that's where all like the drugs are being.
Yeah, I
like,
know. That's what I'm
that
saying.
You don't
We were-
want to be out
Yeah,
there.
we were
like,
lost.
Like you
We
get
were-
caught in someone's.
Oh.
I
on
know.
someone's farm.
That's what I'm saying. We were lost,
And all-
we ended up in Nicaragua. We see a sign and it said Nicaragua on it. We're just like,
So just cross the border.
yeah, we crossed the border by accident, and it's like 2 in the morning, pitch black in the jungle, and I was like, this isn't good. I was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Not good. Like we just stick out like a
Did I,
sore
did
thumb.
I ever tell you the story? I got a gun pulled on me in Ecuador.
No.
Never told you that story.
No, never told me that.
So that was a wild story. That was a wild like. It was my fault though,
Oh.
in a sense that like, I marked myself big time because like I was down in Ecuador. I was down in Ecuador on a on like a mission retreat.
What type of gun was this?
I don't know. I think it was a BB gun. Like in my brain, I thought it was a BB gun. So I wasn't too freaked out about it.
What?
But I have no idea. Like it was a handgun. The guy pulled out a gun.
Could have been a Beretta.
It could have been whatever. Yeah. But I was down there for like a doctor's missions. We were doing hip replacement surgeries, and I was one of the translators.
Yeah.
So, but I left. We were in Quito, and I left to Guayaquil to go visit some friends. And while I was down there, it was one of their birthdays. So I had to buy a suit to go to a fine dining restaurant. I had no suit, so I bought a suit. And when I came back to Quito, I had my backpack, so I had no way of transporting the suit. So I just wore the suit back to Quito on the airplane. It's just a 1-hour flight. I went to the hotel, and then everyone had gone to eat already. So I went to follow the map to go catch up with the rest of the group. So I left everything at the hotel, all my bags and stuff, except for my backpack, which had my camera, my passport, like my laptop, everything was in there. Because I'm thinking, I'm not leaving it because if I leave it and someone steals it, not cool. It's like, so I'm walking.
What happens?
So I'm walking now down the street, and all of a sudden, and it was the weirdest experience ever because like everything just went like a video game, where your senses went. My senses just went ping super high. I saw the two of them walking across the street, and I caught them walking across the street, and the guy pulls out the gun as he's walking. And as soon as he pulls out the gun, that's when everything went, ooh, and I saw everything. I saw a taxi cab driver was driving. He was stopped, and he was watching this lady over here. She's basically frozen. She froze, and she's holding her daughter in front of her. I look down, I see the barrel, and as soon as I saw the barrel, it was like a small barrel. So I'm just like right away, my brain just goes, BB gun. Like it just went.
Dude, small barrel doesn't mean BB gun.
I know,
That's like
but that's-
small ass
could have been
round.
20.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, 22 little round. That
It
was
doesn't
gonna
matter,
kill
but
you.
that's what my brain just said. It just said BB gun.
Yeah, 22
So I
is
looked
a
down,
20.
and then and instantly I just thought, keep walking, like just keep walking, because I was thinking to myself,
Yeah, just play dumb.
just not even play dumb,
dumb,
just
just-
keep walking, like you know when
Like you own the place?
no, like you know when
You
people
just, like, owned it?
You know when people ask you like
For change?
and you just
And you
ignore
just-
them and you
yeah,
just
you
walk
just
past
keep
them
going, yeah.
and you just walk through the situation.
You said fuck it? and
Because
kept
I was
going.
just thinking to myself, and it's crazy how fast your brain works. Because I was thinking, if I stop, I'm in a situation. Because if
Yeah.
I am in a situation, that means either one, they're gonna take my bag, or two, I'm gonna get shot. There's gonna be some sort of a thing, and I'm not giving up the bag. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna walk through like they're not even there.
Yeah.
So I just kept walking, but I knew they were gonna try to grab the bag.
How long? Okay, so you made a decision in your head. You're like, do I stop? Do I do this? What was
Milliseconds.
I know, but
Yeah.
what was the decisions? Stop, fight, run, keep walking. Like what was?
Those were all of this. Yeah, everything just went through.
Were you just like,
and
do I
it's
go
just
for
like-
the gun? Do I punch him? Do I do this? do I
Yeah,
stop?
and it was
do I
just
talk
like,
to him?
and the only thing, and it was just the answer just came, keep walking.
Yeah.
Like just keep walking. That's what it came. And then as soon as I walked past them, I knew right away too, the guy was gonna try to grab my bag. So I held my bag and I pulled it into my shoulder, Like these are, I don't know how these things come in,
you
but I
know,
knew it.
it's-
And I just kept walking, and I pulled the bag in here, and I just waited for the touch. Because I knew they were going to grab the bag. Because when the guy came, it was, dame la mochila, right?
Yeah.
So I knew.
What
it
does
was-
that say? Give me the bag.
Yeah, give me the bag.
Give me the
Dame la
backpack.
mochila. And so then I went, and then as soon as I felt him kind of like this, like as he was reaching it, I was waiting for it. As soon as I felt that, I went wham, and I pulled it around because I used my shoulder, and I pulled it around. I did a full 360 and looked at him. I go, fuck you, right in his face, right? And now 2 guys are holding guns at me, but they were like. They were throwing it back. 2 guys are holding guns at me like this, and they were throwing it back because they were just like, "What the fuck," you know? Like, and I said, "Fuck you," and I gave him like that, and then I turned around and I just kept walking, and then I walked for about like 4 or 5 steps, and I'm like, "Fuck, don't follow me, don't follow me, don't follow me," and I looked back to make sure they weren't following me. Like I turned this way to cross the street, and I looked to see if they were looking at each other, and they turned
Probably so
around
confused.
and walked the other way. And I crossed the street and went into the bar. And the second I went to the bar, my heart sunk. I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck just happened?
You grab a beer, a little cerveza,
I was-
or what
no,
are you doing,
dude,
man? I would have
it
been
was
like,
a-
I need a tequila.
It was
like,
the
holy
weirdest
shit.
feeling. I had to tell I just told some random guy. Like,
like,
some
go.
random guy. I was like, dude, like I'm just like, I knew he was like American or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I just had a guy pull a gun on me. But I was like, it was like this happy, like, I can't believe I got through that.
Holy.
I'm surprised you got through.
And
that.
I was just like, holy smokes. I
Dude,
can't
why didn't
believe-
they just light you up? Like, that's insane.
There
Like,
was,
that's
too
what,
many,
like,
there was too many witnesses.
do they care at that point?
No, but there was a lot of witnesses. Like I said, like I made a big ass scene, and I had a whole bunch of people just staring and watching them. They became very aware that they were being watched in a busy street
Yeah.
by a lot of people. And on top of that, I freaked them out a little bit.
Or maybe it was a BB gun, and they were like, well, I guess if we shoot him, it's not going to do much. Like,
Yeah, either way,
Maybe.
I was just like, so from there I waited until they walked away and they left, and then I got into a cab right away and went back to the hotel. I was leaving the next morning. I'm like, I'm just like,
I'm outta here.
I'm getting the fuck out of here. That's my cue to go. That was my cue. I'm out. Drop the mic.
I cannot believe that
Yeah,
story.
that's
That
what
is-
happened. I was just like,
dude, that's insane.
That is
Yeah.
crazy story.
that was.
I'm happy to say I've never had a gun pulled on me.
Yeah, it was a weird experience, but it was
That's wild.
it was the slow motion effect, like they in the video games. I'm sure other people have experienced it. That's why they put it in video games, where everything goes into like slow motion. It's just weird. It was weird that our brains do that.
Was that like a DMT hit or something? I'm being honest though, because doesn't that stuff get released when you're about to die?
I don't know I don't know.
You know when your light flashes before your eyes, then don't they say you get a big rush of DMT? I don't even want to bring DMT up in this. That's like, that's so like you overused, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know, or maybe
I
just
have
the
no
fight or
idea.
flight or
I don't
crazy
know. I just
adrenaline
think it
shot.
was like an adrenaline shot because like
Yeah.
my body just knew what to do. I lost like I'm telling you, I wasn't.
You weren't
I
in
don't-
control
I don't
of
think
it.
I was in control at that point. I wasn't making choices. Like it was literally just like everything was instinctual. Like everything was instinctual. Like I was just sucking in information. I was like going boom, 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 and everything was
it's
like,
just like
and it was like, and I think it was because it was
automatic pilot kind of thing.
yeah, but I think we always suck in that information, though. This is what I think.
Oh,
I think we were always sucking in that amount of information, but because it was such a high state of emotion, it was a high emotional state, that everything, I remember everything. Because it's the same thing what happened when I had the campfire incident.
Yeah.
I remember everything. Everything. Like, because it.
Were you there for that?
Yeah, I was there for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What were you doing there,
Yeah,
Greg?
what's your perspective of that?
Oh, I
weren't
can't
you-
believe we're gonna get into
Yeah,
this.
we're getting into it. Okay, how do we even start this? I think Stevie was telling me that he wants to hear your side of the story because he never heard it.
This was my idea. Okay, so for people
Have
who
you
don't-
heard this? I mean, have you heard his side of this story?
No, I haven't. So
We
this-
didn't discuss this the
No,
last
I've
time.
Yeah,
never-
this is crazy.
So
this is actually
this
cool.
is so for people who out there who don't know. So like when I was 6 years old, I was set on fire accidentally. I was set on fire by a gasoline tank while we were trying to set up. This is a quick story, but of my uncle
Sounds
was
so horrible.
my uncle was trying to start a fire.
Was this you?
No,
No, I wasn't trying.
he's trying to. We were both little.
Yeah,
So-
we were tiny.
He was trying to start a fire, and the gasoline tank caught on fire while he was trying to light the campfire, and it was burning his hand, and he threw it over his head,
Did it hit you?
hit me, and set me on fire.
Holy shit.
So that's like the short Cole's Notes version, but there's a lot of details in there that I have fully embedded in my brain and my memory, like that I remember down to like, me and my sister fighting for the hammock before, it even all happened.
I remember you guys fighting for the hammock before it happened, right? I remember that. And then I remember that I was playing with Pancho, like
Yeah.
one of our cousins,
Yeah.
and one of my younger brothers, Alvaro, I believe it was, and we were just kind of like off to one side from the campfire, like. So I remember vividly like seeing our uncle trying to get the fire started. And then I remember hearing you and your sister fighting over the hammock.
Was the fighting over the hammock like right before this happened?
Yeah,
Or like
it all like was like it was.
Oh, like you were yelling like, "Oh, give me the
it was
hammock,"
a
and then it
ser-
was like, "Oh shit,
I
I'm on fire."
I'm a 6-year-old kid fighting with my 11-year-old sister
Yeah.
over whose turn it is to be on the hammock. So
Yeah.
I'm like just being like,
You're being a kid.
yeah. So my
Then you
dad
get hit with a can of gas.
so my dad's like Stevie, come here,
Yeah.
right? And then I got in trouble, and he said, come here, and he sat down next to me.
Yeah.
So
Then you
And
get
at
hit with a
that
can
point,
of
you
gas.
were walking past the fire, past the campfire area, or
so what happened from there?
because
so
I remember I'm playing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even like, I remember like seeing the scene,
Yeah.
but at that moment, all I remember is like hearing screaming, and then all of a sudden seeing this guy on fire.
Yeah.
I want to point out that we all have that uncle who uses gasoline to start fires. We all have that uncle who just uses gas to start
I had to
fires.
yell at my dad one time because like I remember one time I had.
Well, keep going on the story. What
okay,
happened? Like,
okay.
yeah.
So
what happened?
So
what happened?
So I'm
with you?
walking down to my dad, and my dad's like, "Stevie, sit here," and he literally said, "Sit here," right? So he points
He's
at this
yelling at
sign.
you.
But I'm 6, and for some reason I just trying to still be disobedient, so I sit on the left-hand side of my dad. If I stayed there, I would have been okay.
Yeah.
But my dad, because my dad's like, you listen to what I say, and there's that battle fight.
Oh, because you're being a little
I
asshole.
was
Like,
being
I'm
a-
sitting beside you, but he's like, no, you're here. And you're like, I'm beside
I told
you.
you to sit here.
Yeah. Here,
Yeah.
not there.
here. I told you
Here.
to sit
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
so that's so
I like that.
so my dad's just like, I said here, so I was just like, so I got up and I sat down next to him on the edge of the picnic table, and then I just pouting,
And then you get hit with a can of gas.
and then I get hit with a can of gasoline on that side.
Where's
Boom.
Gustavo?
He's here,
Oh, he was right beside you.
right beside me,
Yeah.
but the gas canister hit me here, and it poured down my side.
Oh,
so then
God.
so literally my whole side was up in flames. Like I had a tank top on, and I was just like
Getting lit up.
lit up. And at that point, I wasn't there anymore. Like it was, when they talk about out of body experience, it's not like I was watching myself, but everything was like gone, like no feeling, no emotion, I wasn't here.
Were you in pain?
No, I felt nothing. I
Do
was
you think if you were on fire longer, you'd be in pain?
I don't know. It was literally everything shut down.
Wow.
Like, so from there, now it was just memories. Because what happened was my dad had grabbed me and he threw me onto the floor. And the way my brain was thinking, so I'm on the floor now, and I had this, we had that red camper van.
Yeah,
Remember the red
yeah,
camper van? So
yeah.
like this, it was like a van with like the little hood things, but it was red. So I'm literally on the floor and the van is just over my head here. And when you're looking through fire, it's like all wavy and foggy and stuff.
Yeah.
So
You remember that?
all of it, bro. All of it.
Oh
Like
my
it's all
God.
there. So I'm lying on the floor and I have people on this side and people on this side on me. I don't know who. There's just people there, right? And because everything is blurry. Like it's all blurry and
Yeah.
because you're looking through the fire. So everything is completely like this. But in my brain, I thought I was being sucked under the van. So
Sucked under it?
I
Like,
thought
what
I
do
was
you
being
mean?
sucked under the van. Like I thought my essence, everything was me, was being sucked under the van, and they were trying to keep me from being sucked under the van. That's what my brain was thinking.
You
at the
remember
time.
this as a 6-year-old still?
Dude, vividly.
Weird.
Vividly. Like I can see it still.
And then what do you see? Where are you?
I just, man, it was just a huge commotion, man. It was just a huge commotion, and all the adults just coming in. And I don't know, like, did they bring blankets or something and they were trying to put you out
They
or
were
something?
taking off the shirt.
Oh, they were
off.
taking off your shirt, yes.
Yeah, my
'cause the
tank
shirt
top.
was,
It was
the
melting
shirt-
to him probably.
melting onto my
yeah,
skin.
so they were like trying to like pull it off of him. I just remember like a whole bunch of adults all around you.
That's what I saw. Like
Yeah.
all of these adults, poof, all around me.
And then some of the moms were like trying to keep all the other kids away, right? Because like, but I think it was all the dads that were trying to like help you and get you figured out. And but it was scary. It was scary. It was a scary situation, man.
And so then that happened, and then from there, I was picked up. My mom picked me up, and she ran out of the campsite around the corner, and there was like this, those little water canister things, you know, like where you turn the taps on and the water comes gushing out.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
That's
about.
when I came back. So as soon as she took me under there and she threw me under the water,
And then the shit hurt.
then I snapped back.
Yeah.
Like I snapped back into the. I was
They're
like,
going
"Ah,
here."
it's cold," you know, and I came
Yeah.
back because it was super cold, and I was like, "Holy smokes, it's cold." Then they had me wrapped in blankets, and then
I remember the blankets.
then the RCMP were there, and they were driving me, and I still haven't. I still like everyone's still hysterical. No one's talking to me. Nobody's talking to me. Like they're fucking hysterical.
It was a traumatic experience,
That
man.
was probably the talk of the family for how long?
Oh gosh.
How many years was that conversation going on? I remember when Uncle set Stevie on fire.
And so like everything was traumatic, and I was just like, and I still like no one's talking to me, and I still don't know what happened. Like I was just like, and my mom's like losing it. Like she's in the car, we're in the RCMP or the park ranger's vehicle, and he's driving us to the hospital, right? And I'm in there, and my mom's like freaking out, and I'm just like, what happened? And she's like, it's okay. Shh, shh. And I'm just like, okay, don't ask again, because she's hysterical, man. Like she was hysterical. She was freaking me out.
Could you imagine? I mean, it's your kid, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
Yeah.
so I don't ask anything, and then the next time I kind of remember from there. I remember being in the hospital. They had bandaged me up, and I was in. I think they may have put me under, because I woke up in the bed, and I had all these bandages on me. And I was in there, and I was just, that's probably when they started to tell me what was going on and what had happened. And when I woke up in the bed, and yeah, so all of that shit kind of happened there. But the whole thing is I wanted to make a film about this. And I wanted to do like almost like a documentary.
Yeah.
But do every single person's perspective before the accident. So whatever anybody was doing at the time. So like if you guys were playing soccer or hockey or whatever, do a little story on that.
Yeah.
And then and then cut to another story. And then until you get to the full story, right?
That'd be pretty cool.
I think I have to do that one, because like it's so vivid in my brain, and I have no idea what everyone else's perspective was. So it would have to be one of the. Well, I don't even know if people still remember it.
Well, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
It's like what?
Like I'll be
32
honest
years?
with you, like I don't remember too many details. I just remember, playing, seeing you on fire, then the parents freaking out, and then that was. And
that's probably all you're really gonna remember, because that was the point when it was traumatic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like it's hard.
It was very.
Yeah, he's not gonna remember what he was doing before.
No.
Like not fully, like not in vivid detail. You'll just remember bits and pieces. That was a long time ago, Stevie.
Yeah, 32 years ago.
Holy shit.
32 years ago.
That's
32
wild,
years
man.
ago. Yeah, that was a long time
We're
ago.
going into the 80s here, buddy.
It was the years.
That's
Was it
insane.
Garner Lake?
That was a
Garner-
It
different
was
time.
Garner Lake.
Garner Lake.
Garner
I
Lake.
remember it being Garner Lake.
Where's
yeah.
Garner Lake?
Just north
North
just
of here.
north of here.
Probably
Yeah,
an hour and a half or so.
couple hours from here. Yeah, Gardner Lake. That was where it all happened.
That'd be a cool documentary, actually.
I think
If
so.
you could piece it together.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to piece it together and figure out, you know. I'll end up doing all the interviews, and I'm like, no one's stories. Actually, it's a whole bunch of boring stories.
Yeah, I was sitting playing cards.
I'm just like,
Okay,
I'm gonna
can't
make-
remember what I was doing.
I'm gonna make it up. It's gonna be like a
Oh.
mockumentary with only parts of being actual factual.
Yeah.
yeah. Stevie, that's hilarious. So what's the plan with you now, Rod? What's going on?
Basically, just MLA life is quite stressful.
I see the hat.
So my thing right now is to strike as much work-life balance as I possibly can.
That's extremely important.
Yeah. So 4 years ago, when I was elected the first time, I used to weigh 285 pounds.
A good weight or bad weight?
Bad weight.
Okay, yeah.
I was supremely overweight. I was morbidly obese. Like that's the
285,
category.
yeah, your height would be morbidly
Yeah.
obese, yeah.
And
I think I'm obese too, with the height and weight thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
With the index,
Maybe
you got a lot.
The
you
index,
got, you
yeah.
got a lot of muscle mass. Though.
Yeah, the index
Yeah.
doesn't. The index kind of BS. But yeah,
yeah.
if you were like big, yeah. Not
So
good.
then for me, it was like the stress of the job was actually affecting my health.
Yeah.
So then I ended up going to see my doctor. My doctor was like, look, man, if you don't start doing something about this, you're not going to see your kid graduate. You're not going to see your kid get married. You're not going to see all these things, man. So it's like, you're going to have a heart attack and you're going to die.
He's straight
He
up
was
with
just
you.
straight up with me, yeah, just straight up with me. And
I kind of
then-
appreciate that, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Honesty.
No,
It's
it's good because it actually made me realize that I have to start taking care of myself. And the reality was that I had a good friend also was like, look, man, your job is to take care of other people and help them. And if you don't take care of yourself first, how are you going to help them?
Right.
Right. So then, and you know what? It started off with just becoming more knowledgeable about the food I was eating.
Yeah.
And ended up getting myself a sitting to standing desk because I was sitting all the time. And just that small little incremental change in my life just got me thinking more and more about how to be more healthy everyday wise.
From like, hey, I need
Yeah.
to stand up right now, and then
Oh yeah, just standing at my desk because you burn more calories standing than sitting, you know, and then it just became like, look, man, I got to get healthy, and it's just like, what small changes can I do in my life that can encourage this, right? Because so many people, when they see someone who's lost, and I've lost over like 100 pounds now,
damn.
right?
And what's the time frame in that?
About 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then so many people that see someone who's lost so much weight, they're like already thinking, oh, well, you lost all this weight, man. Like how do you do it? Well, right now I jog like 20 minutes, 3 times a week. I go to yoga every morning, Monday to Friday. I do hot yoga just
Yeah.
to kind of maintain, you know. But I didn't start
Yeah, you
there.
can't do that at 285 or 300
Yeah,
pounds
I know,
overweight.
right? So then what I always like telling the story because it's like it's small incremental change that you have to introduce into your life that is going to gradually get you to the place where you're now jogging 20
That's
minutes
that's
a
the
day.
whole, that's the whole thing of how you eat an elephant.
Yeah.
One bite at a time, yeah.
you know?
One bite at a time.
Yeah,
One
but
bite
if
at
you're
a time.
285, you're not eating no elephants,
No,
man.
but that's the thing. It goes like
you got to stop eating the elephant at that
That's what
point.
people need to realize though too is that it's the small steps in the direction that you need to go. This is why I talk about, you know, it's very important to kind of have a plan or a direction that you're going, so that way you always make your decisions and that move you towards that direction all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you constantly if you're not even thinking about it and you're just
Yeah.
subconsciously just like going out having drinks, this and that, that's when you become distracted. I'm just like, well, you're not moving in the direction that you want to go. You're moving in a random direction that you have no idea where you're going to end up.
So were you just eating really terrible food?
I was, man. I was. Like even before being elected.
Churrascos.
No, my big thing was like Friday night was kind of like, oh, Friday night,
I can do what I want?
I can do whatever I want. I'd go get pizza. I'd like stop off at the 7-Eleven before hitting home, and I'd pick up like a bag of chips and some pop, and like I'd go home and watch a movie, order the pizza, and it was like this every Friday, right? And it's just like I wasn't caring about what I was putting in my body. And so this is the thing is that I like to tell a lot of people, man, because so many people, oh, how'd you lose all the weight, man? How'd you lose all the weight? And I'm like, look, it's 80% what you're putting in your body. Like, don't think that exercise is gonna get you. Like, exercise is a part of it, but it's 20% of it. 80% of it's what you're actually eating. So if you're eating garbage, guess what? You're never gonna get to your goal.
You get a garbage result.
Garbage.
I was actually taught that it's 100% and 100%. You got to be 100% on your diet, and then when you're in the gym, it's 100% in the gym. It's not like
Well, that's a
50-50.
good way. It's a
You know
good
what
way
I'm
of
saying?
looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's just the way I was. People would be like, "Hey, it's 30% diet and 70% this or 50%
No, they're
mindset."
two separate things.
Yeah,
it's like only I'm
But I know-
only
I know-
going to work on my brain 20%. I'm like, you should work on your brain 100%.
100%.
Yeah,
No,
I know exactly what you're saying.
But you know what I'm saying is like
Yeah.
so many people think it's like, oh well, it's diet and exercise, and it's kind of like an equal distribution of the two things. And I'm like,
No, if you're
I get where people are going, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like start focusing first on what you're putting in your body, because the minute that you start thinking about what you're actually putting in, then that's more than half the battle. Like think of it in terms of battle.
That includes
Yeah.
on everything though. That's
Everything, yeah.
everything, because like that includes on what you're reading. that's what you're putting into your brain. What kind of television shows you're watching, right? What kind of television show, the people you're surrounding yourself with, you know, all of that stuff. So like all of that stuff has influences on your body and what direction you're going. You know, whether you're going and exercising, getting the blood flow, what kind of foods you're eating. Like I'm becoming a little bit more conscious of my foods. I've gone through a couple cleanses now where I've done a few fasts where I'm like literally eating nothing, you know, and you when you start eating again, you feel the shitty food. You feel it. Like,
so you say you were. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But you say you're stressed out.
Yeah, no, it's a stressful job, man. Because I mean, at the end, think of it as having 3 full-time jobs in one. The first job is actually showing up at the legislature and debating laws, and you're there at the legislature Monday to Thursday. You're working on all that stuff. Second job is then all the people that are walking through your constituency office door and helping them with whatever it is that they need. Like some person might come in and be like, look, man, I just got laid off and I don't have enough money to make it to the end of the month. So they're going to need some kind of income support to help them out. Be like, okay, well, can we pay your electricity bill, right? So then what they end up applying for income support. They end up getting their electricity bill covered for that month. That's it. And then just to kind of help them get by, right? Until they can figure out a more a long-term
play, yeah.
Yeah.
And the third one's promoting yourself?
And then the other one's promoting yourself. You have to be out in the community connecting with people on a regular basis. So every evening
you need meetings, you need
you're meeting
events.
with people, you're at community events, you're
speaking.
You're living the job. You're living
Yeah,
it.
you're living
and
the
that's the
but it's stressful though.
Yeah.
And so many people are like, oh, well, you guys get paid so much, right? And just so that people have an idea, is like you get paid $127,000 a year, but you're working 24/7. Like the only times when you're not working is when you're sleeping, because you are accessible 100% of the time, as long as you're not sleeping. And so, for example, like people will like hit me up on Facebook 12 o'clock at night and they ask me a question. I'm like, okay, I can wait until tomorrow morning to answer that, or I'm up. I might as well just answer their question quick and get it out of the way. Like instead of like thinking about it all night, and then like I'd rather like rest, sleep.
But you know what though?
peacefully.
This is where you're gonna have to learn how to compartmentalize.
But you know what? I don't mind it. I really don't mind it,
Yeah.
right? Like I get where you're going because you're like, oh, but then you're working all the time, right?
No,
But
you set a precedence. It has nothing to do with working all the time. You set up a precedence because if people can get a hold of you at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, they will. If you set a precedence where you don't respond to them after 6, they're not even going to send you a message until the morning.
I get that.
You know,
I get
and
that.
this is what ends up
But
happening.
I strive on being the most accessible MLA as I possibly can. I do, and the people love me for it. Like,
yeah, it has its pros and cons. It could people love you for it. Like just in whatever niche or whatever industry. If you're a plumber and you're
available.
Yeah.
you're available all the time, you're going to be fixing pipes at 3 a.m. You know,
It's the same thing. Yeah, same thing with the videography stuff because people know that I'll bend over backwards for them. If they need me tomorrow. If I can go, I'll make it happen, you know, even though like...
And that's the thing, and I'm honest with people, right? Like if I can't make it happen like at that time, then be like, look, man, just wait until the morning, right? Like I'm pretty honest with people, right? But if it's something like I can quickly do,
I see what you're
it's
saying.
just like sometimes people just want me to connect them to somebody else.
Hey, can you send me over here and do this? Yeah, you could do that,
easy,
do those little
like,
things
okay,
quick.
boom, boom, like quick text and boom, it's done.
Yeah.
And it's out of my mind, you know, I don't have to worry about it anymore. That person feels great because I responded to them in a timely manner.
So
and that makes all the difference,
I'm
right?
the same way as you. I don't do it because I'm available. I do it because if I don't respond right then, I'll forget, and then I'll remember like 3 days later. Go,
oh
shit, I didn't respond.
Do you feel good? Do you feel good operating like that? Like does
I
that
feel wonderful.
Does that
like,
take your stress down?
That takes my stress down.
Okay.
That takes my stress down. Because if I waited for it and I was like, okay, well I'm gonna have to like make a note, like nah, I'd rather just take care of it right away.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, and I love the job. I really love the job of representing people and helping people and debating on laws and these kinds of things. So for me, as much as it is work, it is work. But at the same time, it's kind of like I love my job. So it's kind of like I love what I do.
What did you do to? You're talking about you're having terrible food habits. Probably sleep wasn't that good.
Sleep was not that
You're
good.
stressed out. Sleep, drinking
I
coffee.
sleep much better right now. Now I don't drink coffee after 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're probably drinking coffees, and then we're talking about stress, and stress has a crazy effect on the body, where it
Cold
degenerates the cells down. Like it's very stress is. I probably go out on a limb and say that's what kills people.
Literally.
It's not heart attacks. It's the stress that caused.
Well, eventually that causes.
That causes it, but
yeah.
the underlying root, I think, is
Is
people
stress.
being stressed out.
And I
Stressed
think
out.
that we live in a society that's supremely stressed out.
Everyone's
for
stressed
some-
out. Everyone's
Because they don't
stressed out.
know. Like that's where stress comes from. It comes from the unknown. That's why people like routine. That's why people like to they like steady paycheck. Like that's what some people they like steady paychecks.
Well,
they like a routine. They like to know the next day. They know what's gonna happen but the reality of the situation is that nothing is like everything's in constant flux and constant
Everything.
change. So if you learn to be comfortable in that and just absorbing that and being like, okay, I can just flow.
That's
with
not
this.
that's not good though. Being in a constant state of stress all the time is
not.
is very tough on you if you're
So then
constantly
it becomes
stressed.
how do you deal with it? How do you cope with it? How do you mitigate it? How do you like figure out ways to just welcome what's stressing you out?
That's what I'm getting at you, because if you lost the 200 or the 100 pounds or more than 100 pounds, obviously you figured out a way to do that. So
Yeah.
would you mind sharing a couple of those little hints?
Well, number one is like compartmentalizing your day, like you were
Yeah.
talking about, right? Like, so you need to start if being healthy is something that you want to do, then you need to prioritize it and make it a part of your life.
Yeah.
So for me, at the beginning, it was like it was started off as just lunchtime. So we're lucky enough and privileged enough to have a gym at the Ledge. So during my lunch hour, I would go, and at first I was just walking. Remember, I'm 285 pounds.
I can't even picture you like that right now.
I was a big man.
Yeah.
And so I would just go walk at lunchtime on a treadmill in the gym. And then eventually it came to, okay, jogging, doing weights, doing this, doing the other. Then eventually I had a friend invite me and it was like, well, you should check out yoga because it's relaxing. And let me tell you, for those people who haven't tried yoga, go try it at least once before you knock it.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, like after doing hot yoga, I come out of there like so zen, man. Someone could walk up to me and like give me the finger right in my face and I'd be like,
You're chill, hey? Yeah.
I'm so chill. I'm like so chill. Like people could come up to me and do like anything to me and I'd just be like,
It feels so good, the hot yoga.
oh.
I used to
God.
go. I got coerced into it. I was like one of the guys, like football type guy, like yoga. Yeah, dudes don't do yoga, like some
Yeah,
pansy ass
dudes,
shit,
yeah.
right? And then I wanted to go for an ex-girlfriend of mine, and she kind of coerced me to go, and I was like, I'll watch her do yoga. Like I was there for the wrong reasons, like just like a typical guy, and I'm in there doing yoga, and I'm just like, I'm doing it, but I wasn't really in it. But then I was like, I'll actually get into this. Anyways, I finished that session. I was like, holy shit, this was freaking tough. But I felt so good afterwards. I was like, I kind of like this yoga thing. But I was embarrassed to admit it. You
Well,
know?
it's good, man, because let me tell you, I've been doing it for an entire year and I feel stronger.
Yeah.
Like I feel like before, like I honestly, like doing 10 push-ups was difficult for me.
Yeah.
But now that I've been doing yoga for an entire year, bro, like let me tell you, it's like
You've been doing it 5 days a week an entire year? And hot yoga
well,
is this
I mean, give or take, like there's been a few weeks where I've had to miss and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I've taken vacation, obviously through that year.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like 5 times a week. And now, knocking off 25, 30 push-ups is no big deal.
Is that, do you think that yoga helped really mitigate that stress?
Oh, completely.
Is that one of the big things?
Completely,
You're a big
completely,
advocate
yeah.
for the stress reduction.
Well, even just anything that helps you focus on stress, right, or help on exercise, right? Like getting that regular 30 to 45 minutes a day of exercise is gonna help you.
Well, it helps change your state of mind. If you're in a position where let's say you're emotionally distraught, right? You have to physically, like there's certain things that you can do to physically change your state by maybe standing up and doing jumping jacks, and just you know, if you're feeling really down and low,
Gets
like
the adrenaline going.
just
not
snap
even
it,
that,
yeah.
it's just changing the state.
State.
Like, so like if I'm in this position where I'm down and out and I stay here, I will stay in that
Yeah.
state and stay in that mindset.
Yeah, it's-
But if I change my positioning and I change and I say I sit up tall, or I do these weird superpower poses, or you know I start swinging my arms up in the air, what happens is your brain changes states, and it actually moves into a different. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're like, okay, I got through that. I'm okay.
And you know, a big part of that is like the confidence that it builds in you too. Like once you start getting healthy, you're in a different state of mind. You're like you're more confident in yourself
Yeah.
and what you can accomplish, whether it be physically or mentally or whatever the case may be, right? So it's like, and then for me, on top of that, I think that I'm a person who's very reflective. I enjoy taking time out of my day to be like, hey, I need to close the door right now, and I just need to think.
Yeah.
I just need to think.
Yeah.
A lot of people like we've lost this kind of tradition of just whatever you want to call it, reflection, meditation, whatever. Like we don't do this as human beings as much anymore in today's society.
Not in
So
the
that's
slightest.
the other thing that I want to recommend to people is just like take 5 minutes, man. Close the door, shut off the light, be present in yourself, and just think to yourself about who you are.
That's the one thing that helps too, because I sometimes get overwhelmed, and it's not even so much that the work is hard. It's just that there's so much. It's coming at you from every angle. You're like, you're just like, I can't focus because it's coming from every angle. And a lot of times when it gets into that position, when you're just like, holy smokes, there's so much going on, that you say, fuck it, I'm gonna do this small medial task that I know that I can accomplish. That's small. That takes very little brain power. And a lot of times, most people do this. Like, have you ever heard of the quadrants? The four quadrants, where basically you have in quadrant 1 it has
Important and urgent.
important and urgent, which is there. In quadrant 2 you have important but not urgent. In quadrant 3 you have not urgent but or urgent but not important. And then in quadrant 4 it's like not urgent and not important. And most people,
They start doing, when they get overwhelmed, they start doing not urgent, not important shit and feel good about it.
so what happens is most people live their lives in urgent, important, which means that it has to get done right now. Like, and so they live in this constant like and this
with like
stress,
work and everything?
with work,
and like-
whatever.
work,
They're just
with
always
whatever.
We're always
With
like
life.
we're behind. You're always behind. So you're like and you're trying to like catch up. Like phone rings and I'm like I gotta answer the phone and all this stuff, and so everything's urgent. Everything is right now. It needs to be done right now. And then it becomes so stressful that they say, I can't do shit. So then they move into quadrant 4, which is
Not
doing
urgent,
shit
not
that's not important and not urgent, which is usually like watching TV or just vegging out or doing nothing. So what they're spending all their time in the stress mode and waste mode. Stress
and
mode, waste.
I do think that people in our lives, we do need to operate with a sense of urgency, though, because we're all a sense of urgency is in a lot of us. Well, not a lot of us, but I think society's become a little bit lackadaisical in certain senses, and we're like sense of urgency with, let's say, people's health. Oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. Yeah, whatever. No, it's
I
like
hear what you're
no,
saying.
you got to take care of that shit right now. Like for your health, you got to take your steps right now for your health.
Well, yeah, you got to do it right now, but you're not going to be a bodybuilder right now.
No, that's
So
fine.
that's-
But the sense of
that's-
urgency, like I gotta start getting healthy
But,
because
but,
this is
but the
gonna get.
secret is to do things that are important but not necessarily urgent.
Yeah.
And if you spend at least 20% of your time there, right? And if you're reflecting on that, then that's going to produce 80% of your results. This is like going back to like Stephen Covey's
80-20 rule?
Seven habits of-
Oh, highly
effective
successful.
people.
Yeah.
Highly effective people, right?
Yeah.
So if you're spending 20% of your time on important and not urgent, you're going to yield 80% of the results that are going to be more beneficial. You're going to put more thought into what it is that you're doing, and because it's not urgent now. Right?
Because it's
You're
not like,
not-
oh, I got to do it
you're-
now.
Exactly. So it's about, and the only way that you're going to do that is by having a sense of self-awareness
Yeah.
of who you are and what's important to you. Like I'll never forget, like I used to do a leadership training course. One of the first things that I would do with the people would be like, okay, you're going to write your what's it called when, your eulogy. I want you to write your eulogy. What do you want people to say about you when
that's
you
what's always
die?
fun when you go
That's
backwards.
that's
That's the whole porch the sitting on a porch idea where you sit down and you tell your life story on a porch to like when you're done and you're like literally hanging out as an old man on the porch and you say what you did in your life.
What's the point of writing the eulogy?
What do you want people to say about you at your funeral, man?
Yeah.
Like, what would you want for people to say about you?
Oh, myself?
He was an honest man. He was respectful. He treated people.
The most important thing that I'd want people to say at my funeral is that when they had an interaction with me, they felt better about themselves.
They were left better than they were when they.
Yeah, they were left better meeting me than they were before they met me. And not like oh, Cam's so amazing and he's cool. Not the type of that. It's like more of like a certain energy, like wow, that was really cool interacting with that guy.
Yeah.
That was the same thing.
Insightful,
I've heard those experiences too, and they talk about people who are like dating. Like he says, okay, if you date somebody, the whole idea is to leave them. If you break apart, you want to leave them in a better state than when you found them. But most people, what they do is they find each other and then they destroy each other and then they leave in worse states and then they take that onto the next one and then all of a sudden that next person's got this programming in their brain and then the next person has to deal with the other guy's
and everyone's dealing with other people's baggage,
other people's programming that they put into that person's brain. Oh, I don't trust him because of every time he goes out with his buddies, they mess up. So like now you can't go out with your buddies because someone else was dishonest. And so like every time you go out with your buddies, you get the third degree.
That's tough though. Like in a relationship, that's hard. If you get hurt, if you get burnt one time by somebody
it sticks.
in a certain thing, you're still like, fuck, what's she doing right now? Because my girlfriend cheated on me in that exact same way. Okay, fine, Barbara, you can go and hang out with your ex-boyfriend. I don't care. It's all good. And you're just sitting there like, fuck, man. Yeah. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like that's tough to do.
That's that whole trust and.
But they're two different people. So
this brings up a really good discussion. Yeah. Because I like having this discussion about jealousy.
Yeah.
Because as men, I find that there's a fine line between jealousy and control, right? And we want to and it can go either way, like for women too, right? Like jealousy and control.
It has to do with the type of love that you have. Have you heard about this? There's materialistic love and then there's true love. Okay. So materialistic love is like possessional love.
Yeah.
So when people get jealous, it's a possessional love.
It's a possessional love.
Like you are mine and no one else can touch you. And that's what ends up happening, and it's a weird thing.
Okay, but by the same token, though, is like if your romantic interest is off doing things, you're still gonna be jealous.
You get nervous.
I don't know about jealous.
It's a trust thing. It's definitely trust.
You definitely want to trust them. You definitely want to trust them, right? But then the thing is, like, what I'm trying to get at is like, I think that there's guys that take it overboard. And then it becomes like controlling.
That's terrible. I know. I've seen guys do that.
Yeah.
I've seen guys do that.
And then it gets kind of iffy and weird.
And that gets into like a weird insecurity issue.
Yeah.
That's on the guy. You're insecure, man. Let your girlfriend.
I had to deal with jealousy, and I had to learn how to do it. And because I was in a relationship where she had like kids and had an ex-husband. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So he was around. That's hard. Like I've never dealt with that before, and that was hard, man, to deal with that stuff because now you're dealing with someone who's like there, and I'm just like,
well, he's fixing the plumbing.
Oh yeah, you heard about that?
Yeah,
story.
he told me a story. Okay, that pissed me off. That's disrespectful.
That cheesed me off, not because in a sense it was jealous. I was like, that was a sign of that was disrespect. I felt that was more of a disrespectful thing than it was a jealousy thing, because I was thinking, I was just like, you didn't even ask me to fix the thing. I didn't even get the opportunity.
You could have fixed it,
or I could have called someone to do it. Yeah. But in her mind, she didn't think it like that. She's just thinking in her brain. He goes, he works in construction. He knows he can just come in and do it. I'm just like, but I live here. I'm like, that's my job. You know, like, this is my job. You didn't even give me the opportunity.
You're
just
getting territorial, man.
Yeah, I got territorial.
That's totally fair.
I got territorial.
If the girl brings her ex-husband in to fix the plumbing in your house, that's kind of fucked.
It would be the same thing if I like brought.
Should we do a poll right now?
Should we do a poll? Gonna be the poll.
That'll be the poll. Yeah,
because
we do something called thought of the day, or we do we do Facebook polls on our Facebook page. That's
there
our
you go.
poll.
That's the poll, right?
Because like I was thinking to myself, like, what happens if, like, it's so girls can understand, what would you say if my ex brought me over some dinner, or I even had her said, hey, my wife's gone, do you mind just cooking me some of that nice macaroni and cheese you cook, because you're so good at it, or you're like, whatever.
I hope it's better than macaroni
Well,
and cheese.
man, whatever.
Yo, there's some killer mac and cheese out
But
there.
like,
with lobster and
but
shit.
how is it? I'm like, oh, well, she's a professional cook. You know, like, she's a really good cook. Like, that, I didn't think anything of it. It's
Dude,
not
your
a big
wife
deal.
would kill you if you did that. If you brought.
But that's a comparison of like having some guy come over and
fix the plumbing.
fix the plumbing. You know?
Okay.
Do you know?
I think back to your jealousy thing. I think if you're
My jealousy.
No. He doesn't have a jealousy problem. He just brought the point up. Yeah, I'm just saying if you're jealous, that shows a lack of self-confidence in yourself, because
It's a sign of
Hold
insecurity.
It's a
on
small
second.
sign of
because
insecurity.
the reason why I bring this up is because some people, they would say that, okay, well, a certain level of jealousy is important.
Is it healthy?
It's healthy, and it demonstrates that you actually care about the person that you're romantically interested in.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
No, I don't think it's jealousy, but I think you need to lay down your boundaries. It's different. So like, you need to be aggressive in a sense. It's not so much jealous, but it's laying down the ground rules and saying that's not, like, I'm saying what, like, a prime example, what she had did to me was not so much a sense of jealousy, but it was a sense of like, you don't do that.
Yeah, you don't do
and
that.
when you say you don't do that, you have those discussions, not in a sense that like where you fighting, but you say, this is not something you should do, because this to me is a sign of disrespect. I'm just like, and you need to show that you respect me.
What about
at that point?
what about-
so like, because it goes both ways. Like, I have to show.
You want me to respect
I'm like, you don't want me going around and checking out every girl in front of you. That's a sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
Like, the girl's not so much jealous, but it's
disrespect.
disrespectful when I'm like, you got one girl on your arm and you're checking out someone else's ass. Well, you got a girl on your arm. That's disrespectful. Not so much jealous. It's disrespectful. That's what people get upset.
What about this situation? It's not disrespectful. You're out for dinner with your girlfriend, right? And you're in a group setting with friends, and there's another guy in there who's just making her laugh, and she's laughing at every little joke and every little thing there, and you're making eye contact, and you can see this type of stuff. What then's happening there?
That's depends on.
I wish I could make her laugh like that.
Depends on the karma. You remember we watched that one television show?
Which one?
The one TV show when the girl was laughing at all her ex-boyfriends.
Was that a Black Mirror
There was
thing?
Black Mirror thing. When
Yeah,
he was
okay,
laughing
yeah,
at all
yeah,
his jokes. Sometimes you catch that chemistry and you go like,
Are you jealous about it?
well, you can catch it sometimes, but you can feel that. You can go like, what's going on here? Like, what? I felt it. Like, you can feel it. Like, there's certain things that you're not stupid and oblivious to.
Yeah.
Some people can't hide that, and you're just like, but that's when that whole distrust comes into place, because if you don't have confidence in your relationship, and all of a sudden you're with your girl and she's fishing in other ponds while she's with you, and you catch that, that's when the arguments start. That's when it's all disrespect, right?
But so back to your jealousy thing. That's actually not your jealousy thing. So you're saying it's healthy to have a small amount of it?
Yeah, I would say that it's important to make sure that the other person feels cared for.
Mm-hmm.
So by demonstrating a certain level of jealousy, you're actually saying, "Hey, I care about you," right? So yeah, I know that we were out for dinner the other night and you were laughing at that guy's jokes. I was a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
But it's because I care about you. I don't want to try to control you. I'm not trying to say don't ever laugh at anybody's jokes. I'm just saying that I saw that, and
I don't know. I think that's not her problem, though. That's not her issue. Like, sure, yeah, if you feel that.
no, but
that's
you're
one
just
thing.
communicating how you feel.
Yeah.
You're not saying I don't want you to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's controlling. There's a fine line between.
Yeah, and this is why I initially
That's what
brought
you-
this
yeah, that's
up,
the
is
point you're
because
trying to
I think
make.
that there's a lot of guys out there that have control issues when it comes to their relationships with their women.
I know
Right.
girls. This is crazy.
But both ways. Both
It goes
ways.
both ways. It's-
There's yeah, both ways. There's people that I know that don't even look me in the eye when they see me because they have boyfriends who
Getting nervous about you.
No, they made the girls cut all their, not just me. They made the girl cut Facebook ties off, like.
And see, this is what I'm talking
That's
about.
not healthy.
No, this shit's crazy.
Because
This girl,
then they're
these
living,
girls,
they're living
these-
in fear. At
These
that
girls
point.
won't even say hi
That's
to
when
me.
it's not good because then you're living in fear.
And this is why I bring it up, because like this is an actual problem in our society, because like this is my segue into domestic violence, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
No. That's what I was, dude. That's what I was thinking. I thought because I seen the guy and I was like, yo, this guy totally just freaking
Scares
I could
her.
just. Well, he's on like these dudes are on steroids and stuff, and I'm just like, yo, I know what's
Yeah,
going on in this relationship.
and that's the thing. Like, and it happens. What ends up happening is like, and I can see that where like, they love the guy so much, but they know that he gets triggered and he loses his shit. So they don't want him to lose his shit. So they really try to like make sure that the environment.
They walk on
That
eggshells.
shouldn't be her problem.
That's not her problem. No. That's
It's
the guy's
not her
problem.
It's not, but it
problem.
becomes her problem when he loses his shit because he's
It
lost
does,
his shit and
see,
she
okay,
doesn't want to experience that.
So then the question becomes, okay, so like I think that more men need to have these discussions with each other, and we need to talk to other men about, hey man, there's a big difference between jealousy and control, and controlling and fear, and like getting out of that place.
A real man doesn't do that. A real man doesn't.
Like I've had these.
Well, what's a real man?
Listen, man, I've had these discussions though. Like I've had these discussions where someone was trying to teach me it's better to have someone fear you than like you, like respect you than like you. And I'm just like, dude, they want it. It's better to have someone respect you than like you. And I'm just like, yeah, but they don't respect you. They fear you. It's a completely different sign of respect.
Yeah.
Like I'm not respecting you because I think you're an awesome person. I'm trying not
Going
to.
back
I'm trying
to your
not to
eulogy,
walk on your
right?
thing.
Yeah, you were like, no, I want people that interact with me to be like, oh, I'm a better person because I've met Cam.
I bumped into that guy. Yeah.
You know, and this is what we're after in society, I think, man. It's just like, imagine we all wanted our eulogy to be like that, right? And like we're having like good, healthy relationships with other people, and then that's why I kind of brought it up, because it triggered that in my mind, right? Because one of the issues that I like to work on as an MLA is domestic violence, and it's becoming a thing about how do we prevent domestic violence from happening. And it all has to do with healthy relationships.
You know what a lot of it has to do is money.
Well,
a lot of
that's
these
a
arguments
trigger.
come as a trigger is like money.
Not
It's like
having money.
not having enough money and being stressed about bills and all.
I
that
don't
other
think you
stuff.
can blame any actions on, like, there's no way anyone should be hitting somebody
No.
in a relationship, regardless of money issues or mental abuse.
Shouldn't be. But the reality is that that's
It
happening.
does happen.
It's happening out there, and don't get me wrong.
Dude, emotions go wild, man. When you lose control, the emotions just go nuts, and everyone, and it just escalates. It goes.
Well,
Micro escalations.
I know people who have had domestic violence relationships, both physical and mental abuse on both sides,
yeah.
female and male.
Yeah.
Money wasn't a problem. It was just there's other. I see money being a big issue with families being torn apart, this, that, whatever, and all sorts of stuff. Money causes a bunch of problems when there's
But also
normally
that,
a lack
also
of it.
that there's also other issues that occur, like mismanagement, disorganization, trust, that even cause the money to even become an issue.
Yeah.
Well, if you give a poor person $1 million, they're just a poor person with $1 million. So they'll bumble that money regardless.
Yeah. Like
I'll straight up say that you can throw all the money at this relationship.
Yeah.
It's still going to be a fucked up relationship.
I've learned this too. Like, so I heard the greatest thing about this is like, where most people who are having trouble financially, they've in their brain, and it's weird, in their brain they're thinking,
They don't need more money.
All I got to do is make more money. All I got to do is make more money. I mean, it's like,
It's a vicious
if you
cycle.
are, no, it's not even that. It's like, you have to think of it in a sense of working out. If you can't work out with 20-pound weights, giving you 100-pound weights is not going to help you
It's not gonna
learn how to work out. It doesn't work that way. All you're going to do is you're going to just create 100 pounds worth of money problems because you don't know how to manage the small amount.
You got to
And-
be a good steward of what you have,
what
and then
you
you'll be
have.
blessed with more.
And that's
Yeah,
how it
indeed.
works. If as soon as you'll never get more than what you can actually handle. The way life works, it'll never give you more than what you can handle. Any problems or anything, you always get what you can handle. If you learn how to organize, the more organized you learn, the more responsibilities you end up getting. And the responsibilities become, and they compound over top of each other because you learn how to
manage it.
and it starts to managing. So you have to, if you only make $20,000 a year, learn how to manage $20,000 to where you know where every penny is going. And as soon as you can figure out how that flow is, you can turn that 20,000 into 100,000, into 200,000, into 300,000. But you have to learn how to move that stream in the direction you want.
That's very
Because
wise.
if you move all this, and this is what I learned because I never grew up.
Well, what happens
if
if you take that 50,000 and then leverage it from the bank, and you're able to get a couple $100K out of that?
Yeah.
Oh, and you will make money.
Then then you can help more people. And that's
Yeah.
what ends up happening is you can help more people. But like what I was learning, because I was learning a lot about financials, and because financials are a big thing, and if what finance is, what I was learning is money is currency. It's called currency for a reason. It's like water. If you think about water, if you have water streaming in multiple different directions, it's just basically, it has no direction. It's going, you have a small stream going here, a small stream going there. You have no power. There's no strength. The only way you can get strength is by taking all those streams and focusing it into one direction. Then you get yourself a little, instead of a bunch of creeks, you get an actual little river.
Yeah.
And then that river now has a direction and a flow. Now it can grow. Now it can get bigger and bigger and bigger because now you have a flow and you can now figure it out how it actually works.
Not a lot of people do that. They nickel and dime themselves on all sorts of things, and it's not money management's not directed.
They're
It's not
just-
directed at anything.
Yeah, they're not thinking about how much they're spending, right? And that's an important thing. Like you need to know how much money you're making
Where it's going.
and then where it's going.
It's not that difficult. It's just
No.
basically input output. Same thing with getting healthy. It's like if you input garbage, you're gonna output your garbage. If you input not a lot of money and you output more than what was inputted, you're gonna end up having to go to
In debt, yeah.
Canada or money lenders and get a fine. No, that's terrible. There are people
Yeah.
lined up around the door for that stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's all it is. It's just because you have no idea, and it's then this is where like we all need to learn as a society, like how to manage money. If we want to talk about programs realistically, I would start money management programs, like where people can kind of can come in and learn how to manage money. Like you teach people how to manage money, you'll get more people that have money.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that I think people should learn how. Like it almost should be taught in school. We're just not taught this stuff. Nobody's taught it, so nobody knows how it works. And then, except for the small few that actually do get taught it at a young age and create habits.
Good habits.
Good habits that
money
they
habits,
do.
yeah.
Good money habits of like taking money, putting it aside, putting this money over here, putting that money over here, not borrowing too much money. There's all these habits that they put into place. Like I learned one good interesting thing. The banks will get pissed off because I'm telling this, but what ends up happening is like there's a thing called and there's different types of it, but critical illness insurance. Okay. So if you get critical illness insurance, the way that they set it up is saying they'll sell it to you as saying it's like a savings account. So you put your money, $100 a month, into this critical savings insurance, and it's an insurance policy that you pay until you're 65. And at the end of your 65, you get your $50,000 back that you put in. So you think, oh, sweet, I'll put my money in there. It's like a bank. I get my money back, right? And if something happens to you, you have $50,000 that they'll give to you automatically in between that time to the end. What they don't tell you is how compound interest works, and that you could probably buy that same insurance without getting your money back for like $25, take that $75 and put it into an investment bank, and when you come out, you don't come out at 65, you don't come out with $50,000, you come out with $100,000, $200,000 based on compound interest and the portfolio you put together. So if you look at the same amount of input, which output do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want the $200,000 output at 65, or do you want the $50,000 input that you put back? You know,
I was always taught that the The bank only looks out for number one. That's what they always look out
Well,
for.
look at the size of your house and look at the size of the bank's house. Who's making 20% on their money and who's making 2% on their money?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So it's
The banks aren't in it for our better interest.
No, they're not.
They're in it for themselves.
Well,
on that one.
they're in it because they're trying to make sure that they help sustain the wealth in society, right? So I mean,
I don't know. They figured out a way to keep money. They got lots of money, man.
yeah. Well, at the end of the
Lots
day,
money.
banks are corporations, right? And then at the end of the day, it's the bottom line for them, and they need to make profit for their shareholders. And then that's the reality that they're living with, right? And then, but we just need to understand that. We just don't think of them as nobody's doing you a favor.
No, they're not doing no favors.
In
They're
fact,
looking after
you're
themselves.
the one doing them a favor because you're providing. Well, if you're putting money in the bank,
You're
it's because
providing their
You're
money.
giving them money to lend out.
to
Exactly.
So if you put $100,000 in their bank, that means they can lend out $1 million with fractional banking, right? So they lend out $1 million and they make $100,000 off of the interest off of $1 million, right? Because they lent it out to 9 other people, that same amount of money.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how they set their business up. So I mean,
yeah.
just learn the rules to the game and play it to the best of your ability.
Exactly. Learn the rules to the game.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Just learn the rules of the game.
Yeah.
So where do we go learn these rules?
There's ways. There's lots of ways.
Yeah.
Freaking hit up Google. There's lots of ways you
Yeah.
can learn the rules to those games.
Well, and it goes back to what you were talking about before in terms of like, what are you putting in? What are you putting in your head?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know that people need to veg out and chill sometimes and just relax and just watch some stupid show, whatever their stupid show is that they watch on Netflix. But also take the time, number one, reflect on yourself. Who are you as an individual? What's your eulogy?
Mhm.
And then learn as much as you can, man. Learn the rules of the game.
Did you actually write your eulogy? Did you write one?
I did read a eulogy,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what do you do with it after? Did you just keep it and put it in a
I have it.
safety
Do
deposit
you want
box?
people to actually read it?
No.
No, okay.
I
like
didn't
at your
write it.
funeral, hey, can you read my eulogy?
Well, I was telling
Oh,
him he wrote in his will all the shit that I did to corrupt him. So if he ever passes away, he's gonna throw me under the bus.
Yeah, I'm throwing him under the bus for every bad thing I've ever learned from him.
All the
Yeah,
bad
Yeah.
stuff that he learned from me.
yeah, everything. That's in my eulogy, and they're gonna say it, and he'll be the only one laughing.
Because I'm the only one that's gonna
That's
know
gonna
that
understand.
know that he's trolling me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there
After
laughing.
death.
After death troll.
After death troll.
I'm laughing,
Nice,
and
nice.
everyone's just like, Steve.
Just pissed at you. Yeah.
Pissed at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy threw me under the bus, man.
Speaking of funerals, actually, never mind. That's a
That was a bad.
well, no.
segue.
That's
That was
a
dark-
hilarious
that was
segue.
a
dark
place.
opening.
No. This one's funny. It's kind of funny, but not really. But I just saw this guy, and he got like his funeral was he was sitting exactly how I'm sitting, but he
No
had
way.
a weed, like he was just smoking a dub, and he was just like he had sunglasses
Oh,
on,
like Weekend at Bernie's style?
and he was sitting on the table. and
That's the way he wanted
That's
to be.
how they presented him, just chilling. And he's just like, he's got sunglasses on, and they just partied around him. And I watched a video of them just having a party with him just chilling.
This was for real?
This
or
is a real, yeah,
This
yeah.
is like, that's total Weekend at Bernie's style.
No,
man.
this was a legit funeral. That's how
Legit funeral.
Yeah, that's how they set him up. Like the what is it, the mortuary or whatever.
Yeah, maybe that's the way the guy wanted to go.
I know.
However you want to go, man.
Chilling. He's
However
just-
you want to go.
And then his buddies were sitting with him at the table and stuff, and they're just like drinking and smoking weed, and he's just sitting there like it's freaking weird, man. Yeah, that was a I don't know. I saw that and I was so baffled. I was like, "Is this serious?" But
Hey, do you
that was
know
a real
this? I don't
thing.
know. This is kind of a random question because you brought it up. I always thought about it. Do you know about the burial plots? Like how they don't want to basically sell burial plots anymore because it takes up the land?
I didn't. I did not know this.
Like this is, I don't know if you've heard of this before.
I think
Like, cause
funerals
like,
are a crazy business.
well, cause
Is that
no,
the
like,
thing?
cause like a
much
graveyard,
land.
like,
There's not enough graveyards.
Yeah,
well,
not enough
there's
land. Yeah.
Just too much. Just well, if everyone ends up in a graveyard,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
what do you do? Because you can't dig them up, right? But the guys who buy land, they make a shit ton of money selling small plots because you're selling these plots for 3,000-4,000. So like like when you buy a piece of land and you're selling houses and stuff.
Yeah.
If you break those into smaller little lots, you have like hundreds of thousands and 200,000s of these little tiny lots that you're selling for $2,000-$3,000 a
What
pot.
what red tape do you have to go through to do that? I'll buy a piece of land right now and I'll be like, yo guys, bring them in, let's go.
But that,
You have to go through the city of Edmonton.
You do, hey? You're my guy then.
but that's what I'm saying. But like, I think what ends up happening is that these graveyards, you can't touch them afterwards. So
Ever?
Yeah, no,
ever, you
then
can't
they're-
dig them up. They're protected
They're protected.
Forever.
forever. That's why it's just like, okay, no more burials. Everyone's cremated.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
I've
there's
heard-
a
I've
whole
heard about
religious
that.
side
I've
of
heard
that
about
where
that.
people are like, no, I want to be buried. So like, this is like, well, what do you do? How does this
Yeah,
work?
How do you do? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, there's an abundance of land around us. Like drive 20 minutes south. Well, after you
Well,
get
that's
out
what
of
it's going to take. That's what it's going to take, right? If people wanted to continue doing that, right? But
Yeah,
I mean,
and you say, okay, yeah, you're gonna have to get buried way out in the boonies or somewhere, you know.
But you know, that brings up an interesting topic because it's like we live in a time where people are starting to define themselves as more spiritual rather than religious,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if that's a topic that you ever got on a
Oh, we
show.
go on that shit all the time, bro.
Oh, really?
Stevie's been on that shit.
I've been on that trip. I'm
Don't get him started, actually. He'll go off.
I'll go off.
Yeah,
I'll
he'll go off.
because I've seen some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some stuff. So like with people who are spiritual, like the spiritual realm is, to me, it's a dangerous realm, in a sense that like there's a whole whack of spirits that are out there, and some are good, some are bad, but they're out there, and it's like this little spiritual war that's happening in that realm, and it's like, and we, like they talk about like we are not at war with each other.
Like,
Like
human beings, you mean?
Flesh, in terms of flesh, and this is where
Flesh.
people forget that the war is not between flesh and flesh. The war that's going on is between spirits and spirits. There's a bunch of spirits that basically are rebelling, and they're trying to take over different vessels. And they are in the other realm that we can't see. They're here. We just can't see them. They're around us all the time. And
Rod's looking at you like, the
Like, you're
fuck
looking
are
at-
going
and
on,
they're-
Steve?
and they're
Look at him. Look at him.
and they're at war with each other, right? Like, because
Okay.
they're at war with each other because there's
Yeah, no.
basically, and that has nothing to do with
I told you.
with the physical form.
With the physical form, yeah.
So when people, that's why people, they say they get pissed off at it. I mean, it's like, you can't get mad at someone else. Like, everyone's journey is their own.
I don't know if
You can't. So like,
you can get mad at other people, man.
what do you mean?
If someone fucks up, you can't be like, oh, the spirit made him do it. Like,
No,
yo, this
like
guy's
no.
a
But what
fucker.
what I'm saying is that you don't punish the flesh for the decisions of the soul, because the soul is going to end up has its own issues to deal with. They're dealing with their own problems.
What do you mean you don't punish the flesh? What are you talking about?
You don't punish the vessel for what the soul's done. Like, you can't. If the vessel starts attacking other vessels, like, that's where there's a
So
problem.
like when you're like a little kid and you're dicking around, your dad shouldn't like spank you at all?
No, what are you talking about?
I'm saying like if someone does something bad, you're saying you should not punish him?
So whatever you want to do spiritually, whatever you want to do, as long as you don't interfere with what other people are doing, you can do whatever you want. But the second that you start to inflict your physical realm on someone else, or your physical behavior on other people, that's when it becomes an issue, because now you are
Spiritually speaking.
affecting the other person, right? So you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to spiritually. You're not supposed to basically engage into others. You can try to help and guide, and people are can learn from each other. Like, we're
Yeah.
here, we can learn from each other and stuff. But I can't tell you what you're doing is wrong or right. I can't tell you what you're doing is wrong or right, because I don't know
Yeah.
what you're going through, and I don't know what you're going through.
Yeah,
I don't
everyone's
know
on
what
their
your
own
battles.
journey.
Everyone's on their own journey. Everyone is here to learn.
So like
their
if
own
I was like a
lessons.
raging massive alcoholic, you couldn't be like, yo, Cam, like you're not really doing it's not good.
That's a struggle.
It's a struggle.
That person,
you
person
couldn't-
is an alcoholic.
But the question
is
becomes-
under a struggle.
You couldn't tell me, yo, Cam, you should probably put the bottle down a little bit.
Okay, but it becomes an issue of how do you deal with the person now? Like, so we're going back to like the interaction that people want to have, that you want people to have with you, is to be an insightful, positive one. So how do you approach the alcoholic now, knowing that you want them to come out a better person after having the interaction with you? Do you think that by having a more authoritative or authoritarian kind of perspective on their alcoholism?
No,
that-
not in
that
the
you're gonna-
slightest.
Right?
Alcohol's
So-
not even the problem when people are alcoholics. There's a deep
Yeah.
root issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
we're
what
just
I'm-
using that as an example, right?
what
Yeah,
I'm-
that's just an
but
example.
what-
If you approach it in an authoritarian way, kind of like, man, you're screwing up, and like, you know, like really harping down on them, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna drive them further down.
This
right?
is a problem. If we're going to talk about alcoholism, is the distraction. It's the distraction. Everybody has, all you have is the choice, the time that you have, whenever your opportunity or your decision comes in front of you, all you have is your choice. That's all you have. You have no control over anything else. You have your choice. So drugs, alcohol, all of these other things that come into play
All
are just
addictions.
distractions.
Yeah.
And what the distractions do is they take your focus away from the opportunity and the choice, and they make you make bad decisions. So what ends up happening is when you make those bad decisions, those dark essences start to enter into your vessel. And you get so far, when you get so far rooted in there that you're lost, you become completely lost, because now you have lost complete control. Because now you're now you no longer making decisions between good and bad. You're making decisions between
Bad and
bad
worse.
and not so bad.
Yeah.
You know, like you're now in this weird position, and like it doesn't happen overnight. It happens from like one bad choice over another, or so. It's not about telling people that they're wrong. Is that you have to recognize that I'm just like trying to help people try to come out, but in the end, you can't change anybody. It's their own
They
decision.
have to change themselves.
They have
yeah.
to just basically, make their own choices and their own decisions and their own understand what is going on and really see what's happening.
But we help them by understanding that those options are there for them to choose
Yeah.
from, right? That's the thing, is that's what a good friendship or good relationships and healthy relationships in society are all about. Is like you can either like push people down or you can lift them up.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. It's like that's the kind of person I'm trying to do is one that helps others by lifting them
Encouragement,
up.
stuff like that. Yeah, those are all good.
And it doesn't mean that you have to be like, oh, Mr. Nice and I love everybody. No, man. It's just like sometimes the best.
Sometimes you got to be your parent, like you just said.
Well, sometimes you got to be like, hey, man.
That's what I'm saying. I think that there's times for
Yeah.
tough love. There's sometimes people need a hug, and sometimes people need a kick in the ass. To be completely honest.
Yeah, but it's like, how do you give them the kick in the ass in the most respectful way possible? Is the question, right? But no,
It
like
depends on the relationship.
Yeah,
You- like,
it depends on
yeah.
the relationship, right?
You
But
can't
I
be
mean,
going out. You can't be going out.
You can't be going out kicking but if it was like your best buddy,
Okay.
you could probably give him a kick in the ass, but you're fucking up, man.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Like I've kind of moved really, really close to Christ, into Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't agree with people going on the streets going, "You're going to hell. You're going to hell.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
a sin."
Oh,
You're.
that's all
I'm just like,
judgment, man, yeah.
I'm just like, it's not even the judgment. It's just like that's not how it works. I'm just like, you can't show someone love and compassion when you're telling them that
They're gonna go to
you're
hell.
going to hell. And I'm just like, it's just like,
Yeah, you do that to me all the time.
Yeah, because you're going to hell.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest
Yeah,
with you. What do you
fuck
want me to
you,
tell
Stevie.
you?
You
What
are
do you want me to
too.
tell you?
You're going too, buddy.
I'm gonna have to go and pull you out.
You
I'm
ain't
just-
pulling shit out,
You
man.
know, I'm gonna be. I do it all the time.
Kick
I'm
your
just
ass
like,
right now,
I don't know.
Stevie.
I'm like, where you been, man? You're
Anyways.
chasing dragons around. Hey, what's happening with you? What's going on?
Oh, jeez Louise, eh?
Jeez
Fucking
Louise.
this guy, man.
chasing dragons.
I'm not chasing no dragons, man. I'm good.
Let's talk about. Let's get close to wrapping this up. Let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about some of the books you recommend for people to read. You were like talking about that.
Are
you reading any books right now,
Yeah,
or?
no, I did. I have been reading books. One of them that I read is I Am Malala, the story about Malala Yousafzai. She's a Pakistani young woman. She was shot in the face by
I think
terrorists.
I think I saw that
Yeah,
one. That's the
by,
girl who was she's telling her story, and she hid underneath the boards under.
Yeah, she was
hiding?
Shot in the face?
She was on a bus because at that time in Pakistan it was taken over by now I can't even remember the name of the terrorist group. But basically they got on the bus and it was like some young terrorist guy was just like, girls shouldn't be going to school. and they ended up shooting her right in the face
Well, because she was going to school.
Hamas?
on a
because
school
she was
bus.
going to school. Yeah, and
Was it Hamas?
Hamas?
no, not Hamas. It was in Pakistan at the time.
I was just trying to help. I don't know
What's
either.
Osama bin Laden's crew?
Al Qaeda.
Al Qaeda. I think it was Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
If I could be mistaken, but I'm choosing to focus on the positive side of the
Yeah.
story, right? But anyways, so she ends up getting shot. She's then her family ends up taking her to England, and she gets reconstructive surgery and everything like that. And but she tells the whole story of before. Pakistan used to be like pretty progressive place. Like people used to like dress more modernly, things like that. Used to be more socially, you know, like there wasn't so much judgment about who you were going around. Well, I mean, there was always a certain level of, you know, women couldn't be just going out with anybody, right? Because there's certain rules within Islam and things like that that they have to
Abide by.
abide by and things like that. But at the same time, it wasn't like a repressive society on women before the Taliban. That's what it was. It's Taliban. Before the Taliban actually came in. The Taliban took things to a whole different level, right? In terms of their interpretation of Islam and made it very repressive on women. So that was a really interesting book to read. Yeah, one that I highly recommend. The other one that I read that was, now I'm trying to remember what the name of the book is. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But I love reading Rumi. I love reading Rumi, right? So
Rumi?
Rumi is
RUMI?
R-U-M-I, yeah. So Rumi was a Sufi poet. So Sufi is a line of Islam, yeah. And he was just this fantastic poet. I'm trying to remember the name of the book now off the top of my head. You know, discuss amongst yourselves. I'll pick it up here quickly.
Yeah.
I have
you
the
read
name of the
that one,
book. I
Paul?
really want to share it.
No,
with
I've heard of Rumi before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually, I've heard of it. I've heard
Yeah.
of that, never read it before.
Is
though.
it an actual book though?
No,
No,
Rumi's
he's-
the
Rumi's the
author.
poet.
Rumi's the
Author's
poet,
the
yeah.
poet.
Yeah, he's the poet.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
just
the
one
poet.
name. It's just Rumi.
Who was the Chilean poet again?
Pablo Neruda.
Neruda. Pablo Neruda.
Pablo Neruda,
I
yeah.
haven't read his stuff, but he was supposed to be a really good poet too.
Yeah, Rumi's Islamic, yeah.
Yeah, so something that I haven't shared with you and haven't shared with many people actually is the fact that back in October, I reverted to Islam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been kind of like it's the work-life balance thing and trying to like really understand who I am and I've always kind of been a very religious person. Like you know, we come from Catholic background,
Roman Catholic, yeah.
Roman Catholic background, and so for me, it became a big part of the people that I was surrounding with myself with. A lot of them were Muslims. And I was just like looking at their example of how they live and all these things. And I was just like, well, like why is it that I'm like surrounded by all these Muslim people and like they're just like really great people, like people that I trust. So then I started so then last Ramadan, so we're getting really close to Ramadan. Ramadan is the month in the Islamic calendar where Muslims fast from
Sunrise to
sunrise
sunset.
to sunset. So last Ramadan, I decided, okay, well, I'm going to fast with the community because I just want to know what it's like.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started fasting. And at first, I was drinking water. And then a Muslim friend of mine was like, no, you got to fast from everything. Like no water, no food during the day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for real. Like I really want to know how it feels. And then I'll never forget that first day of fasting from water and food the entire day. I remember going home and a long time ago, like a friend of mine had given me a Quran that they gifted to me a long time. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start reading the Quran. So I'm just kind of flipping through the Quran and I'm just like reading, and then all of a sudden I come across the Book of Mary, and I'm like, the Book of Mary, and it's just like, because you know you often hear that Muslims also believe in Jesus.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about the laws, right?
Right.
So I gotta read the Quran too, but they're similar to Judaism, where it's you follow the law of.
It's all connected.
They're all connected, so it's still
Yeah.
same things with the angels. It's all about the angels. It's all about the divine God. Like they're the same. They all come from the Torah, which is the law. So this is where things get kind of, because Judaism is you follow the law of the Torah,
Yeah.
and then Islam is also follow the law of the Quran.
Yeah. Which is
And-
connected. Yeah.
Which are connected. The thing is the Quran is supposed to be a true representation of the scriptures, because the scriptures change so much over the time.
Yeah.
Right. Where Christianity falls in the mix of all of the Torah and the Quran is that the Christianity says that we are all sinners. We cannot follow the laws as much as we try to follow the law and to move through the law. We cannot not be sinners. We will end up being
Always be
sinners.
sinners,
We're
yeah.
always going to be sinners. So the whole thing with Christianity is, and this is where the difference is because Jesus is huge in the Quran as well. They just don't believe that he was the
Son of
the
God.
Son of God. And the difference is Jesus Christ is carried the Holy Spirit of God. So when he was killed, he released the Holy Ghost. So only what the whole in Christianity is if you can take on the Holy Ghost within you by accepting the sacrifice, you take on the Holy Ghost, you get cleansed with all of that stuff. Now from there, you can go and follow the laws, right?
Yeah.
And be a good like follow the laws that are there. But that's the whole difference between the Christianity is only when you accept the Holy Ghost do you fully get cleansed from that sacrifice, from that lamb of the sacrifice. So those are the differences. I haven't read the laws of the Quran, which because I'm still going through the whole Bible, but like I'm literally learning all of it
Learning all
because
of it,
like
eh? Yeah.
like I said, like reading the Old Testaments, I'm like, wow, man, this is heavy and it's hard because it's written in duality. So this is the thing. So this is where I hold the spirituality, because I went through a lot. So we live in duality. We live in a realm where there's good and bad. You can't have one without the other. You cannot have love without hate. That's why we are here to experience it. That's why we want to be here. Outside of this realm, we are all one. But you have no idea what love feels like because you are part of everything. You are all of it.
Yeah.
But in this realm is duality. So when you read the books, you can take things and you can get dark messages from them, or you can get positive messages from them.
Yeah.
So when you read those laws, that's what I'm saying. There's certain things that come in there and they come across as sometimes dark, unless you can read it with the interpretation of a good light. That's where the misinterpretations come in. That's where these whole arguments come in and people fighting and all this stuff like that. The end of it is like if you read all of these laws in a perspective of love and respect and treating all that stuff, that's where it all comes from.
And that's what Islam is, right? And that's the journey that I went through last Ramadan when I started reading the Quran, right? Because like there's so many for people who aren't Muslim, and for people who have never, all they hear about Islam is what they see on TV. Oh, they're a bunch of terrorists.
Those people are not
they're not.
They didn't read. They're not
Yeah.
truly people who say they're Muslim but don't read the book or read the Quran or follow the laws. I'm like, you're truly not. You can't.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing as like I can't say I'm a Catholic or a Christian if I don't go to church or don't go and I don't follow the teachings.
The teachings. Yeah,
you don't read the
exactly.
teachings. You just basically labeled yourself. You just labeled yourself
Yeah,
and
you
then
say,
just say,
"Oh."
this is what I am. I'm just like, but are you? Like, you don't know any of the teachings. You don't follow it. I didn't know anything about Jesus Christ, and I was born up Roman Catholic. I just I've always had this wall up, and I was always kind of like, but now only once I've accepted it, then I started reading, and then all of a sudden everything started to these light bulbs started going
kinda
off.
coming out.
And
What was the Rumi? What was the Rumi?
you figured it out?
No, I didn't figure it out. I couldn't find it, man. I couldn't find it.
You're gonna have to send it to us,
I'm
then,
gonna have
and
to
then,
send
and
it
then we'll
to
have
you.
to put it in a link.
But I mean, like, for the people out there, I just want to say that we all have, and I think that we're kind of conditioned in our society to just judge other people that are different from us. right? And then, so for me, going through the experience of Ramadan and fasting and then reading the Quran and everything, and it all started like Christianity and believing in Christ made sense for you. It started making, Islam started making sense to me.
Yeah.
And then eventually I started, after Ramadan was over, I decided that I was going to start eating halal food. I started like changing my whole life to be like more positive, more giving back to, like even more giving back to community, trying to be as humble as I could possibly be. And eventually it came, right? The feeling came that like I wanna revert to Islam. I wanna be a Muslim now. And now I'm a proud Muslim, and I try to live my life as good as I can, and I want to try to educate as much people out there about what Islam really is, as opposed to what they think it is, right? So I just want to encourage people to just get out there and just really understand others that are different from you, rather than just believing all the preconceived judgments that have been shared with you since we're children. Like where it happens to all of us.
Yeah, we're just programmed.
I think a lot of problems in our world just boil down from misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Miscommunication, everything, all of that stuff comes down from miscommunication, from relationships to all of that stuff. It just
well, we communicate pretty well, and I still don't like you.
yeah, I don't know. I try to lock my door before I go to bed.
Yeah,
This guy.
this guy scares me, man.
I thought you guys share the same bed.
Oh yeah. Hey, you can't say
You
that.
can't say that live on
You
camera.
can't say that live on camera, man. People take shit literally, right? Yeah, we live in a busted little apartment. We still hate each other. It's like we don't.
I thought you just take turns on the bed. Like,
Yeah.
you got one shift, he's got the other shift. 'Cause you can only afford one bed.
Oh,
we don't have
shit,
one
yeah,
bed.
it's been tough out here,
One
man.
set of shoes.
One set of shoes, yeah.
So I get pissed off because like sometimes I want to go out and Cam already left and took the shoes with him.
Oh man, do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do you remember Kanye West used to do all his little skits about we're broke, flat broke. We ain't got it. And he's talking about eating. I remember the time where we used to eat cereal with a fork because they needed to save the milk.
Yeah.
To save the milk.
Yeah, they reused the milk. Anyways, it's these Kanye West skits back in the day about being broke, but that just reminded me of it. They say their whole crew only had one pair of pants, and they would share the pants. Like, shit's funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it.
No,
That's good. I was
that's
actually
good.
I was really entertaining.
Yeah, no,
entertaining
man,
talk.
I really
I'm,
enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we covered a lot of issues, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what we do here. It's just discussions, thoughts. Just,
it's
keep
great.
open discussions. That way, more people can kind of like listen. And I think this is good for us too because we learn to communicate a little bit better and and open up because we want to talk about some of these discussions that people are scared to talk about.
And we're gonna, and eventually we're gonna start another YouTube channel here pretty quick, where we can take these. We covered a lot of different subjects in this episode, and we can actually take each one of those little subjects and compartmentalize them,
And
so that
digest those specific
so they're
subjects.
more digestible.
cool.
So we
Okay,
could talk
cool,
about we talk about maybe 10-15 minutes domestic violence. We could have a little thing on there, and if people don't want to listen to this whole episode. They could just listen to that little section that we talked about, or we just talked about this little section here.
So it's more relevant for people and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and have
no, that's cool.
communications. But yeah,
Yeah.
No, this is really great. This is wonderful. It's I think it's wonderful to share ideas. It's what really makes society go around. Is like when we talk about these kind of things, right?
yeah.
So rather than just talking about
But that's where it comes from. It comes from different perspectives, right? So like everyone could there could be 5 people that witness the same event. Same like for instance with me with the campfire
the
thing.
campfire, yeah.
And the perspectives are different because I can't see your viewpoint and I can't see your viewpoint. The only way I can see what you see and what you see is if
You say
I-
something
if
about
I,
it.
If I can listen to you and you can tell me your viewpoint, and then I can listen to your viewpoint and you can tell me your viewpoint. So like all of us could have the same viewpoints or different viewpoints,
ones.
but all be true and all be right
Yeah.
because we all experiencing from different perspectives. That's what people do. It's not like I'm right and you're wrong. It's just we
Yeah.
all coming from different perspectives and we all see things differently
Yeah,
because we don't have the same eye set. So only when we come together as a group like that and we can learn to talk and communicate with each other, then we can see the whole picture.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Rod Loyola,
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for having
much,
me on the
man.
show, man.
appreciate
I
it.
really
Thanks.
appreciate it. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, thanks, no worries.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
sir.
guys. Remember, make sure you come check us out on the TXCshow.com. It's my boy, Cameron Stripes.
Yeah, Cameron Barkey here. Thank you guys for tuning in. We had Rod Loyola, Steve Van Diest. Take care. See you guys next week.
Peace.
See you guys.